it is another Wednesday night. Now, do I say it is a pleasure to have you with me on the Extra Bit? I guess I should, in spite of the circumstances we have found ourselves in the country at the moment. That notwithstanding, the country is moving on, and that is the major issue today on the program. Of course, the Federal Executive Council met, and if you are into coffee production or traditional medicine fraction, FEC has your back. There is a bit on infrastructure development, some human angle stories. Let me give you a peep. 7 children in one delivery. What did you call that? Septuplets. This and more. Well, it is going to be a very engaging time, but let me allow you decide that for yourself. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Fatima Umar Buba, and this is News Extra. You're welcome. At the last count, no fewer than 13 states have gone ahead to establish the judicial panels of inquiry as resolved by the National Economic Council to address the question of redress and justice for victims of police brutality across the country.
Statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, indicates that Lagos, Kaduna, Delta, Ekiti, Ogun, Anambra, Enugu, Imo, Plateau, Edo, Nasarawa, Ondo, and Akwa Ibom states have set up their panels. President Muhammadu Buhari welcomes the promptness of these necessary subnational actions and reaffirms his commitment to supporting the state governments to ensure that justice is achieved for all victims of police brutality in Nigeria. Under the chairmanship of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, the National Economic Council at its meeting on Thursday, October 15, 2020, resolved to establish state-level judicial panels of inquiry to investigate allegations of police brutality and ensure that all erring personnel are brought to justice. Prior to that, the President in June 2019 signed a bill establishing the Police Trust Fund to mobilize additional funding for the welfare and equipping of the Nigeria Police Force. Accrual of funding into the fund, as specified in its Enabling Act, has commenced. President Buhari in 2018 approved an increase in police salaries, and the police personnel budget has seen a rise from 288 billion naira in the 2018 budget to 417 billion naira in the proposed 2021 budget, an increase of 45%. Only on Tuesday, at the inauguration of the Nigerian Police Pension Fund Limited building, the President also reiterated continuous support for both serving and retired police personnel. The President has equally approved the rollout and funding of a new community policing initiative as part of a larger program of police reform in Nigeria, aimed at rewriting the rules of engagement between the force and citizens. President Buhari's commitment to extensive police reforms should never be in doubt. The President in September 2020 signed the new Nigeria Police Act, the first comprehensive revision of the Police Act in decades. As President Buhari declared, the immediate dissolution of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad (SARS) is the first step in a set of reform policies that will deliver a police system accountable to the Nigerian people. The President has also approved full implementation of the report of the 2018-2019 Presidential Panel on Police Reform. Indeed, the National Human Rights Commission and the Police Service Commission have now commenced the implementation of the report. The Presidency appeals for understanding and calm across the nation as the implementation of the reform gathers pace at federal and state levels. The Presidency wishes to reiterate the full commitment of the Buhari administration to the implementation of lasting police reforms in Nigeria.
Despite the 24-hour curfew imposed in Lagos, hoodlums have continued to perpetrate mayhem, looting and attacking media and government agencies, as what was once a peaceful protest has taken a dangerous turn. And Najatu Tijani has the report.
Lagos, supposed to be on lockdown, is ablaze. The curfew imposed by the government seems not to have stopped hoodlums from wreaking mayhem. Viral social media footage shows the burning of vehicles at the Ubu BRT bus station. The Nigerian Ports Authority, headquartered at Marina, is also said to have suffered the same fate. Neither is the media spared, as Television Continental, housing TVC News.
And we're trying to get safe. Hoodlums have entered TVC and they're attacking. They've started attacking us inside the studio. I had to cut off the show. And we couldn't go up. We can't continue the show right now.
As well as Oriental Hotel are attacked by the arsonists. Meanwhile, Channels Television temporarily went off air to avoid any attacks on the station. Reports also say there was an attempted arson attack on Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's family home. While it isn't clear which groups are responsible for the arson, there are indications that insightful speeches on Twitter targeted at these organizations could be responsible. Meanwhile, military personnel were able to quell any disquiet without the use of force, further averting any disasters.
They are making it get worse. We know them. So that we can get those ones off the streets. We know the honest protesters. But this thing has been hijacked. There are some bad elements among you people that are now burning places and doing things, killing policemen. We are here. We are not here to kill anybody. We are here to protect you. We are here to protect lives and property.
Lagos and every other places. The future is ours. Yeah. The future is yours. Yeah. But we cannot take the future by doing this. It's understood. You understand? Yes. If they slap your brother, you go vex. Let us try as much as we not be ourselves. Gentlemen, let's calm.
In the meantime, angry reactions to the shooting, killings and injuring of peaceful protesters on Tuesday have led to the breakout of more violence across the state. Despite the curfew in place, hoodlums have ransacked and destroyed several public and private structures. Dutun Ogunyemi compiled the report.
Economic and social activities have been crippled in Nigeria's commercial nerve center, with reports of widespread violence and destruction of properties across the metropolis. In Marina, the head office of the Nigerian Port Authority has been set on fire, while the premises of TVC Communication has been ransacked, vehicles burnt, and the main building set on fire. In Oyimbo, the bus rapid transit terminal where buses were parked has also been set ablaze, and the same was the case on Ikorodu Road and Bega, where buses were also burnt. The palace of the Oba of Lagos has also been vandalized and the staff of office carted away by hoodlums. The brand new Lagos Theatre in Ikeja has been completely razed down, just as the premises of the Federal Road Safety Corps located in Ojodu Bega has also been ransacked, with a large number of vehicles burnt. Likewise, the Lekki-Ikoyi Link Bridge Toll Plaza was also set ablaze, as well as some operational vehicles located in the premises of the concessionaire. While the violence continues to ravage the city, there is apprehension among the populace as a security alert indicates that hoodlums are moving from estate to estate, especially those easily accessible to attack the residents. In the meantime, the two main locations of the protest, Alausa and the Lekki toll gate, are deserted as the protests have now been put on hold. In Lagos, Dotun Ogunyemi, NTA News.
And still staying with Lagos, the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has further extended the statewide curfew imposed on the state by 3 days to stem the tide of growing violence. The governor gave the order during his statewide broadcast to the people of the state. Tunde Saiki has the report. We apologize for the loss of audio in that particular report. We'll bring it in the course of the bulletin. Moving on, Abuja, the FCT has had its share of violence and destruction when peaceful NSAS protest was hijacked by hoodlums a few days ago. Kolo Mohammed, who went round the capital city this Wednesday, however, reports that calmness has returned.
These are the calm streets of Abuja with fewer vehicles and less crowd than a normal Wednesday afternoon. From Apo, Central Business District, to Wuse, Gorky, Maitama and Asokoro, activities are low, with security agents positioned to ensure safety of lives and property.
For today, it's been very peaceful today. At least I've gone around up to Banners, I've gone to Airport Road, like that. I've not seen any protest anywhere like that. Unlike yesterday and Monday, it was terrible. People were scared.
Due to what I saw as at yesterday and day before yesterday, and on my way coming down to the town now, I believe we have peace now in Abuja.
More activities are expected to pick up with the hoodlums of the streets, and the NSAS protest stopped in the FCT. In Abuja,
Calm is also gradually returning to Benin City, the Edo state capital, as curfew imposed by the state government entered its second day. Security personnel have been on patrol on the streets in a show of force. Ifoma Okafo reports.
Economic and social activities have been crippled in Nigeria's commercial nerve center, with reports of widespread violence and destruction of properties across the metropolis. In Marina, the head office of the Nigerian Port Authority has been set on fire, while the premises of TVC Communication has been ransacked, vehicles burnt, and the main building set on fire. In Oyimbo, the bus rapid transit terminal where buses were parked has also been set ablaze, and the same was the case on Ikorodu Road and Bega, where buses were also burnt. The palace of the Oba of Lagos has also been vandalized and the staff of office carted away by hoodlums.
We apologize again for that mix-up in that report. We'll get the report from Benin much later in the course of the bulletin. Meanwhile, Governor Godwin Obaseki on Tuesday night met with all security chiefs in the state. This meeting came in the wake of the continued NSAS protest, which has led to the imposition of a 24-hour curfew in the state. The Security Council meeting was held in the Government House. Agatha Egwari Ujo reports.
Inflicted on the state by the NSAS protesters in the last few days. It seeks to analyze and assess the security environment in the state.
I want to thank the law-abiding citizens of Edo State for complying largely with the curfew. However, we observed that a few hoodlums violated the curfew and certain stern actions will follow shortly.
Newly deployed Deputy Inspector General of Police, Celestine Okoye, says he is in the state to boost the morale of the people.
We are ready to protect you. And we also ask the miscreants to please remain in their houses now. Be law-abiding at this moment. And I ask our youths to also calm down, cool your temper. I believe the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is looking into your demands.
Also present in the meeting were the Commissioner of Police, Johnson Kokumo, the Commandant of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and the Director of the DSS. In Benin, Agatha Egwari Uju, NTA News.
The Department of State Services says its attention has been drawn to the fake news making the round that its personnel are aiding pro-SARS supporters and thugs to attack NSAS protesters in Abuja. Part of the untruth being spewed to the public is that some of its officials attached to certain VIPs aided thugs in this regard. A statement by the Service Public Relations Officer, Dr. Peter Afunaya, explains that no DSS personnel has so far been identified to be involved in the alleged act. He reiterates that the service is a responsible professional organization and will endeavor to remain so at all times. He therefore states that the allegations leveled against it are not true and can only be taken as false narrative designed to cast in a bad image as well as inflame the protest. Consequently, the service enjoins the public to disregard the falsehood emanating from sections of the social and mainstream media, subversive groups and interests. The Minister of Police Affairs, Mohammed Megarit Ingyadi, has reassured Nigerians of government's commitment to the full implementation of NSAS demands. In a statement, the minister says the call to scrap the Special Anti-Robbery Squad and other demands of protesters have been attended to, while implementation is at various stages. The minister explains that government at all levels are working closely to monitor the outcome of judicial panels set up by various states' governments to treat cases of violation of human rights abuses by NSAS operatives. The minister also says that the creation of special weapons and tactics team by the police to confront violent crimes is an indication of government's commitment towards addressing challenges of insecurity in the country. Mohammed Megari assures Nigerians of full implementation of police reforms while regretting the hijack of protest by hoodlums and the subsequent attacks on police facilities. He enjoins members of the protesting citizens to exercise restraint and allow measures put in place to protect lives and property. In another development, the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talon, is appealing to Nigerian teeming youths to sheath their swords and give government time to address the issues raised by them in her words. In her words, when things are not right, the citizens take to the street. When the citizens take to the streets, the government is bound to listen. This government has listened and has heard your voices. End of quote. The minister, in a message to women and mothers, said that what started as a beautiful campaign about the Nigerian future few days ago has been hijacked by mindless individuals and criminals with a different intent. Hence, calling on women who are life givers, cradle nurturers, and pain soothers to call their children off the street as the situation is no longer safe. The minister says, as a mother, she is heartbroken and bitter at the way innocent young souls were sent to an early grave. And former President Olusegun Obasanjo has appealed to President Muhammadu Buhari in capacity as a parent to the youth and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to restrain the military and other security agencies from using maximum force as a way of ending the crisis occasioned by the NSAS protests across the country. Kenneth Lanim has more on the details of the appeal.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo appealed to the government and people of Nigeria to eschew violence and embrace peace and dialogue in finding solutions to various challenges being faced by the country. Though harm has been done, but can be stopped here before it goes out of hand, Obasanjo urges government at all levels to demonstrate humility and sincerity by meeting the demands by the protesting youths, which he says are reasonable and could be met while ensuring that justice is served where it demands.
The youth too, I will want you to give peace a chance while making your legitimate demands. You must be mindful of miscreants who will infiltrate your ranks and give the protests a bad name, only so that trigger-happy forces will kill you. The destruction and looting of public and private properties will only hurt all of us and set us back.
The former president cautioned against destruction and looting of public and private property, as such will hurt all of us and set us back. He noted that targeting of individuals and groups for attacks and reprisal attacks will only escalate the crisis and threaten the country's unity, as our individual and collective actions will determine our progress as a nation.
In the meantime, the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria has urged the protesting youth to give peace a chance. Kenneth Nanim again has the details.
Of the council, the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, and his co-chair, Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Eniton Ogunwusi, Ojaja II, members of the Board of Trustees, National Executive Committee, and the entire members have called on the protesting youths to embrace peace and allow government attend to their demands. They noted that the protests have been hijacked by criminal elements, assuming dangerous dimension. The traditional rulers also appealed to government to fast-track resolutions of all the relevant issues and restore normalcy, as the country needs to concentrate on the revival of the economy ravaged by the coronavirus global pandemic. The royal fathers also urged security agencies to shun acts of impunity, apply rules of engagement in ensuring adequate protection of lives and property.
And we'll take you back to our earlier reports, the Judicial report from Benin, and Ifeoma Okafor has the report.
Some of the flashpoints across the metropolis that witnessed unrest caused by the protesting youths are deserted. For instance, Dunsin Road, 5 Junction, Kings Square, and outskirts of the city, Buba Hill, Aduawa, and other areas where hoodlums had taken over are now free. Security personnel are seen crisscrossing the metropolis in show of force. Only a few persons and vehicles were moving freely without obstructions. For the residents, it is a welcome development.
Protest is not all about rioting. It's about pressing home, driving a particular demand to whom you are demanding it from. We believe in a non-violent approach towards demanding from government.
Meanwhile, the custom office storage in Benin, looted by hoodlums, is now a shadow of itself, as security personnel made a stopover to get first-hand knowledge of the situation on ground. Some looters, including a woman with a child, were arrested at the scene. It is expected that normalcy will continue in the state. In Benin, Ifeoma Okafor, NTA News.
And from Benin, we'll take you to Calabar. The NSAS protest came with the intention to provoke desired change in the police force as well as promote socio-economic change. To sustain this good intention, the youth must allow peace to reign, as no nation thrives in acrimony. This is the message on the second day of a peace rally held in Calabar by youths who are calling for an end to increasing hostilities. Justina Etim reports.
The second day of the peaceful protest staged by youths under the aegis of the South-South Legacy Forum. The youths are gathered here at the Millennium Park in their numbers. The message is clear. They want the NSAS protesters to leave the streets. They are saying peace is the answer. The youths condemn the unwanted destruction of lives and property in parts of the country, describing such as unpatriotic and a breach of national peace.
We've given the government the rein they want, we've choked them on the neck, and it is time for us to give them the opportunity to reinforce and to put into practice what the youth have agitated for.
We have about 80% total voting strength, but we have realized it now. That's why you see us agitating for what rightly belongs to us. Yes. But we must do it well in a very coordinated way.
They say the present administration means well for youths and called on the federal government to live up to its promise by ensuring speedy implementation of the demands.
I will advise the government is that they should listen to the youth and do the right thing.
It is hoped that this message of peace will get to the appropriate quarters and yield the needed results. In Calabar, Justina Etem, NTA News.
The new Emir of Kano, Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero, has pledged unalloyed loyalty and support of the royal fathers in the state to President Muhammadu Buhari as he sustains genuine effort at achieving greater future for Nigeria and Nigerians. The Emir stated this while speaking to NTA News shortly after he was granted audience by the president Tuesday evening. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has the details.
This is the first formal engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari and the new Emir of Kano, Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero. The monarch ascended the throne on the 9th of March this year following the deposition of Muhammadu Sanusi II by the Kano state government. He is here on what could best be described as a special honor of respect to President Muhammadu Buhari, whom he called a great leader. Their meeting, held behind closed doors, lasted about 30 minutes, after which the royal father spoke to NTA News.
My main reason of coming here is to pay homage, to ensure our loyalty to the government of the Federation and to the President.
The paramount ruler of Kano and chairman of the State Council of Chiefs also brought felicitations from Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje and other emirs from across Kano State.
We have always known how the government is performing. We always focus on praying for them to succeed, and where we have advice, we will certainly give advice appropriately where people will benefit and the nation at large will move forward.
Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero from the Fulani Sulubawa clan is the 15th Emir of Kano. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In the next segment of the bulletin, Works and Housing lays the roadwork to the completion of the 711 projects. We also have details on development of a river port processing industries and a 4 of Watersmith refinery. Please stay.
Recent genuine concerns and agitations by Nigerians about the excessive use of force and, in some cases, extrajudicial killings and wrongful conduct by men of the Nigerian police force. The disbanding of SARS is only the first step in our commitment to extensive police reform in order to ensure that the primary duty of the police and other law enforcement agencies remains the protection of lives and livelihoods of our people. We will also ensure that all those responsible for misconduct or wrongful acts are brought to justice. We also deeply regret the loss of life of the young man in Oyo State during the recent demonstrations. I have directed that the circumstances of his death should be thoroughly investigated. Meanwhile, it is important to recognize that the vast majority of men and women of the police force are hardworking and diligent in performing their duties. The few bed
agriculture, manufacturing, transportation, housing, education, health, power, oil and gas, and any other issues. All memoranda should reach the Secretariat not later than 27th October 2020. Soft copies should be sent to ng.agenda2052@nationalplanning.gov.ng, while hard copies should be submitted to the Office of the Director, Microeconomic Analysis Department. Visit https://mbnp.netlify.app. Permanent Secretary, Budget and National Planning. Announcer.
Thanks so much for staying. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu calls for calm, and Tunde Saiki has that report.
Governor, who expressed regrets over the attack by some security personnel on NSAS protesters at the Lekki toll gate and other violent acts in the state, also apologized to residents for the actions. He directed the constitution of a 5-man fact-finding committee into the rules of engagement ordered and adopted by the Nigerian Army to be headed by a retired military officer, not less than the rank of a general. He said the report would be presented to the president within 2 weeks.
With the mood of the nation at this time, I have directed further that we have an immediate suspension of all state activity for the next 3 days, except those that are connected with the governance of security in the state and the management of the current issue.
The governor also directed the lowering of the flags in all government establishments for 3 days. Governor Sanwo-Olu, however, appealed to residents to embrace peace as government remains committed to ensuring that all their legitimate demands are met and adequate protection of their lives and property guaranteed.
I want to once again and passionately from the depth of my heart appeal to our teeming youths, to our protestants, that they should please give peace a chance.
Meanwhile, the state government has shut down all its broadcast stations, which include Lagos Television, Eko FM, Radio Lagos, and the Traffic Radio, as a safety measure since irate youth has started attacking public and private facilities to protect them from being vandalized and destroyed. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
The Federal Executive Council has approved the ratification of Nigeria's membership of the International Coffee Organization. Also approved is a new national policy on plastic waste management, as well as a bill for the establishment of the Council for Traditional, Alternative and Complementary Medicine Practice in Nigeria. State House correspondent Adamu Sabo has the details.
President Muhammadu Buhari presided over the meeting, 29th in the series for the year 2020 and 28th to be held virtually since the outbreak of COVID-19, the global health emergency. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Niyi Adebayo, had told the Council that although Nigeria signed the International Coffee Agreement in 2008, it only maintained an observer status in the organization following the non-ratification of its membership. Consequently, the country has not been getting the benefits derivable from the International Coffee Organization.
Now that Council has approved the ratification, some of the benefits that will come to the country would include allocation of coffee development projects. We'll have access to finance for our farmers, and all these things we feel are things that will assist to improve the yield of coffee in Nigeria. We'll be actively involved in creating policies that will improve the trade of coffee.
Nigeria presently has an estimated 1 million people involved in the coffee value chain across the country. The Minister of Environment, Mohammed Mahmoud, also announced the Council's approval for the establishment of the National Policy on Plastic Waste Management.
What this policy seeks to do is to seize the opportunity of our paradigm shift from linear economy to circular economy. The standard procedure in the past is you produce, you use, you dispose. We just realized that we cannot continue to do that. And plastic has lent itself to recycling, to reuse, to reduction even as the waste. And what this policy seeks to do is to capitalize on that property of it being reused. And it will also create a lot of jobs, a lot of wealth. So plastic may no longer be really a menace as far as waste is concerned if we can harness it and get it all together.
Already, plastic recycling plants have been established in the various states of the country.
What we want in the end is for the private sector to take control of this and do more, because there is a lot of this waste. Nigeria has a population of 200 million, and plastic waste is like the second in terms of quantity in total waste being produced in Nigeria today. With this plastic, you can recycle it by first of all reusing, and also you can melt it and produce new plastic. You can produce this day pellets that can be used and make interlocks, even blocks that you can build actual structures that you can use. Other countries are doing that. And that is the opportunity that we want to take with this policy to change the narratives. Apart from that, it also helped Nigeria in the fight against climate change.
A bill seeking the establishment of the Council for Traditional, Alternative and Complementary Medicine, also approved by the Council, is aimed at institutionalizing traditional medicine practice in the country.
The outbreak of COVID-19 has renewed the call for homegrown solutions to all these public health diseases, to find the value in our traditional medicines, and this is an opportunity with which traditional medicine practice can be not only upscaled but also regulated, because there are also areas of malpractice there which shall be checked. Right, we also provide for the possibility of training, setting up institutions, and also being able to research further, working with the Institute of Pharmaceutical Research of Nigeria to actually dig out the values that are in our traditional medicine where they can be used and used for research.
The bill for the establishment of Traditional, Alternative and Complementary Medicine Practitioners Council, the Health Minister explained, meets a lot of demands and serves various purposes, while provision is made for the protection of the intellectual property rights of those in the practice. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And it is another period of budget scrutiny at the National Assembly. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, who is the first minister to appear before the Senate, says the ministry will give priority to the completion of work on the 711 ongoing highway projects in the 2021 budget. He was speaking when he appeared before the Senate Committee on Works to give justification for the budget proposal of the ministry. Ignatius Unko reports.
The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, in company of top management of the ministry, started by giving an overview of the 2020 budget, which saw the release of 227.9 billion naira out of the total allocation of 265.8 billion. For the 2021 budget of 435.3 billion, the focus will be on the completion of ongoing projects which have been categorized based on funding mechanism.
The 44 roads under the Sukuk, those I think will be a priority for us to then say no. If we look at those roads, they cover all the 6 zones, so nobody can fairly say.
I pray that, like Oliver Twist, the EB Ukari roads would follow.
Are we going to continue that route from PHOA to Arichuku? Because there's some 15 kilometers there. It takes 4 hours to go on 15 kilometer routes.
44 dual carriageways on major arterial routes, 4 roads to be financed with tax credit. Projects being funded by the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund include the Lagos-Shagamu-Ibadan dual carriageway, Second Niger Bridge, and the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano dual carriageway.
That has the rail line pass on top. In Mafedi, if that bridge is not attended to, then we'll have a major problem.
The west to Abuja is Ipele. The Duane is Shua Road. The Kano Shua Road, that the project is very slow among the 4 or 5 contractors from Kano to Maiduguri.
And say that we cannot continue like this. This is the time to say no more new projects. Let us focus our resources on what we have.
We will strengthen the outcome of oversight duties to ensure that people are held accountable for their actions and inactions, because this is a budget of economic recovery and resilience.
The minister observed that the total allocation to highways is 276 billion, while the ministry is already indebted to the tune of 392 billion. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has called on leaders at all levels to intervene in putting a stop to the protest. Senator Lawan made the call shortly after a marathon meeting with the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, and Director General of the Department of State Services, Yusuf Magajibichi. Senator Lawan said the intervention of leaders is mostly needed at this point in time, as he appealed to leaders in the country across religious, political, ethnic and regional divides to join government in quelling the situation.
Opinion leaders and political leaders across the spectrum that this is of utmost concern to all of us. All leaders, regardless of their political affiliations, regardless of our religious persuasions, regardless of our geopolitical locations, we must stand up and ensure that these protests come to an end, because the protests are now taking a different dimension from the conceived and originally implemented protests by those who meant well by asking for SARS to be disbanded.
He added that inasmuch as the National Assembly is in support of any legitimate and peaceful protest, Nigerians should not allow themselves to be taken in the wrong direction, as being witnessed in some states of the Federation, where the hitherto peaceful protest has been hijacked. Senator Lawan observed that President Muhammadu Buhari also responded well by not only endorsing the disbandment of Special Anti-Robbery Squad SARS, but declaring that holistic reform would be carried out in the police. The federal government is working assiduously towards making Onitsha River Port a port of final destination, with the aim of reducing congestion on the roads and seaports, and also create ease of business activities in the southeast. The Managing Director, National Inland Waterways Authority, George Magalu, disclosed this during an interface with the business community in Onitsha. Ekene Undulwe has the details.
The Onitsha River Port, a world-class national investment, has been lying fallow over the past 42 years. Although it was redeveloped and recommissioned in 2012, this national asset was left unutilized. The test run of barge operations from Onitsha River Port to Onitsha Inland Port on the 6th of October awakened hope in the minds of businessmen in Onitsha, who look forward to ending the challenges of transporting their cargoes from Lagos to Onitsha by road. While appealing for their partnership, Dr. George Moralo explained to the business community that NIWA has procured some barges as well as dredgers as they work towards commencing full operations at the Onitsha River Port by next year.
What we are now doing in NIWA is what we call maintenance dredging. And for us to actualize that, we have started the process of procuring more dredgers. We are determined to make this a success. Amen. My appeal is I need all the support, I need the encouragement.
Businessmen in Onitsha, who were excited by the prospects, spoke on the benefits.
The moment these containers start coming direct, Onitsha will be as good as Lagos.
It will attract foreign investors, Then it will attract even revenue to state and federal government.
The port is a catalyst for economic growth, and the moment the port becomes operational, the story will change, Onitsha will change. It will be a new beginning for us.
Rising from this meeting, the business community here in Onitsha are hopeful that the current efforts will be sustained as they all work together towards optimizing the opportunities available from the inland port. In Onitsha, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
Thank you, Ekene. We'll take a short break now. When we return, more on NSAS, the protest.
For all victims of the dissolved SARS and other police units. State governors should immediately establish state-based special security and human rights committees to be chaired by governors in their state, and to supervise the newly formed police tactical units and all other security agencies located in the state. This will ensure the protection of citizens' human rights. Members will also include representatives of youth and civil society, as well as head of police tactical units in each of the states.
Great to have you back on News Extra. The Emir of Zazzau, Ahmed Nuhu Bamali, is to be presented with staff of office on the 9th of November 2020. Sheikh Mohammed Dati reports that the Emir dropped the hint when he visited Sultan Mohammed Saad Abubakar at his palace.
That was the arrival of the Emir of Zazzau and his entourage to the palace of Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar. The Emir was at the palace to pay homage, show solidarity and loyalty to the Sultan. Ahmed Nuhu Bamali pledged to continue from where his predecessor stops, assuring that all the royal houses of the emirate would be carried along. The choice of 9th November for the presentation of staff of office was deliberate, as it coincides with the date the Emir's grandfather left the throne decades ago. Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar reminded the Emir that leadership is given by God and to whom he wishes. He challenged the Emir to do things for the sake of Allah alone, help the masses, and lead by example. While pledging the Sultanate's support and cooperation, he called on the Emir to operate an open-door policy devoid of difference. The Emir is scheduled to visit other historic places in Sokoto and the tomb of Abdullahi Gwandu, brother to Sheikh Usman bin Fodio in Gwandu, Kebbi State. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Dati, NTA News.
The unity of Nigeria remains sacrosanct, and Arewa Consultative Forum remains faithful to a united Nigeria that is responsive to genuine aspirations of her citizens. This is the position of the forum, as contained in a communique issued at the end of its National Executive Council meeting held in Kaduna. Maijama Adam reports.
It is the maiden National Executive Council meeting of the ACF under its newly inaugurated leadership led by Chief Audu Obe. A communique adopted by the meeting noted will concern the deviation of the NSAS protest from its original objective to perpetration of violence and breakdown of law and order in some parts of the country.
The street protests by our sons and daughters demanding for reforms cannot be wrong. However, if all they sought to achieve was to draw the attention of the government to these issues, they have already done so successfully and most eminently.
The ACF also called on the government to catch on the noble objective of the initial protest to effect far-reaching transformation in security, structure and cost of governance, investment on youth development and the economy. The new chairman of the forum, Chief Audu Obi, has earlier stated the commitment of the forum to a more united and prosperous Nigeria and the overall development of the northern region.
We must be conscious of our unity, both in the north and in Nigeria at large. And I wish, therefore, to prevail on you to continue to exercise caution and passion in strengthening the unity of the nation.
The ACF is a broad-based apolitical socio-cultural group committed to the development of the North. In Kaduna, Maijama Adamu, NTA News.
In line with the National Human Rights Commission's mandate and in response to nationwide agitation by some Nigerian youth groups under the auspices of NSAS, the Commission has constituted an 11-man independent investigative panel to look into allegations of human rights violations against the defunct SARS and other units of the force. Omenka Amarachuku reports that the committee is headed by a retired Supreme Court judge, Justice Suleiman Galadima.
For a few days now, youths across the country trooped out in various cities of Nigeria to protest against the special Federal Anti-Robbery Squad and police brutality among youths. Though the government have made several pronouncements on these burning issues, both the protests continue to persist in some parts of the country. In recognition of this, National Human Rights Commission set up an investigative panel that will look into petitions, complaints and memoranda from the 36 states of the Federation, including FCT, and make recommendation to the government on how best to reform SACs and other units of the police force.
The Commission applauds the courage of the Inspector General of Police and the Nigerian Police Force in general to embrace the ongoing reforms and pledges its support in collaboration with stakeholders for the ongoing reforms. The Commission has already convened a stakeholders forum which has 5 subcommittees to work on all aspects of police reforms to ensure that they can get the police force we want in Nigeria.
I emphasize and solicit for the cooperation of all stakeholders and assistance of you members of the fourth estate of the realm. We also plead with agreed parties.
The Independent Investigation Panel, which have started work, has a period of 6 months to submit its report. In Abuja, Umenka Marchuku, NTA News.
The wave of NSAS protests has since blown out of proportion following incidences of violence and reports of deaths. Now, in non-governmental organizations, the Citizens Action for Good Governance is calling on Nigerians to be conscious of hoodlums under the guise of NSAS protests, as their motive do not reflect concerns surrounding the issues prompting the protest. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
Expressed sadness and pain over the way the NSAS protests have resulted to violence, destruction of lives and property. The National Coordinator of Citizens Action for Good Governance says attack on policemen, blocking of roads, preventing people from going to work, burning of vehicles will not solve the problems raised by the protesters as well as their request. He added that the development can only lead to breakdown of law and order. The group also advised Nigerians to be conscious of hoodlums hiding under the guise of NSAS, as some of their motives do not reflect the concerns of the protesters.
It is therefore time to put an immediate halt to the process. Those behind the NSAS must do that or be forced to. Our national security is being seriously threatened as some persons under the guise of the protest have taken advantage to kill their enemies or destroy legitimate business of hardworking Nigerians.
The National Coordinator of Citizens Action for Good Governance says attack on policemen, blocking of roads, preventing people from going to work, burning of vehicles will not solve the problems raised by the protesters as well as their requests. He added that the development can only lead to breakdown of law and order. The group also advised Nigerians to be conscious of hoodlums hiding under the guise of NSAS, as some of their motives do not reflect the concerns of the protesters.
A group of Fulani elders has cleared the APC national leader, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, from the allegations of sponsoring NSAS protests across the country by one Bello Bodejo, leader of Mieti Allah, Kautar Hori. The Fulbe Forum, led by Abubakar Ardibo Suleiman, pointed out the contradiction in Bodejo's claim that the same Asiwaju Tinubu, whose property have been massively destroyed in Lagos, is allegedly sponsoring the people destroying his assets. The group promised to seek redress in court against Bodejo's outburst and unguarded utterances towards the APC leader. Government offices and most business outfits in Imo State have closed down following the declaration of a 24-hour curfew by the state government. Marian Vincent Oko, who monitored the situation in Owerri, the state capital, brings us details.
In response to the NSAS protest, which went violent in some parts of the country, the Imo State government, in a bid to avoid similar violence in the state, has declared a 24-hour curfew across the 27 local government areas of the state. A drive round major roads in Owerri, including the ever-busy Wedra Road, shows reduction in vehicular movement and business activities. The Imo State Secretariat is devoid of activity as the entrance remains closed, while the banks are also shut. Some residents who spoke with NTA News described the move by the state government as necessary, but called for adjustment in the duration of the curfew.
It's a good idea because people are starting damaging everywhere, destroying people's property. So coffee is good.
For the first time in the history of this country, the federal government reacted positively and immediately by disbanding SARS as requested by the people. Now, it's just unfortunate that even after with that decision, the youth still kept, staying on the streets. So it was too bad.
They shouldn't have gone violent at any time. They should have finished their demonstration. And now federal government have had their voice. They should have stopped going about continual demonstration.
Others commend the federal government for promptly responding to some of the demands of the youths, including the disbanding of SARS. They, however, appeal for further action in addressing other demands.
Government should do something in order to prevent this issue.
The leaders come down to people's needs, and the people then have they have the duty to support the government. The government is not something; it's not easy to rule.
For now, the protesters are off the roads while people are going about their businesses peacefully in Owerri. Marian Vincent Oko, NTA News.
The National Peace Committee says it has watched with utter shock, deep sorrow and sadness the events that have taken place across the country in the wake of the protest by the youth, and have seen ugly scenes of activities that are totally unrelated to the goals of the youth protesters. In a statement by its chairman, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, the National Peace Committee calls for calm among the people and appeals to the President to ensure that the rights of citizens are fully respected and protected. The statement also acknowledged the legitimacy of the youth's protest and cautioned against destruction of national assets, while efforts should be made to ensure that the issues raised are adequately addressed. Commending the federal government for apologizing to Nigerians, prompt responses by the state governors, and actions by the Inspector General of Police as a pointer to the need for negotiations that will benefit everyone and reposition the country to consolidate on the gains of democracy. We'll take you to Benue. Benue is one of the states that has set up a judicial panel to look into alleged atrocities of the defunct SARS. The 7-member panel is headed by a former chief judge of the state, Justice Ada Onum. Governor Autumn, who inaugurated the panel, charged members to stick to the guidelines. Charles Abba has that.
Setting up of the judicial panel with representatives from the judiciary, the civil society, youths and students, and their subsequent inauguration by Governor Samuel Ortom is in compliance with the federal government's directive that the panel be constituted by the governors of the 36 states to address issues arising from the EndSARS protests regarding violation of human rights and brutality. The governor, who commended the peaceful EndSARS protest in the state, appealed to everyone to be orderly. He also called on the people to cooperate with the panel to effectively deliver on its mandate.
The terms of reference of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry include the following. 1. Receive and investigate complaints of police brutality, human rights violation, or related extrajudicial killings. 2. Evaluate evidence presented as to other surrounding circumstances and draw conclusions as to the validity of the complaints.
Chairman of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry, Justice Ada Onum, who appreciated the governor for finding the members worthy of the assignment, pledged to work in consonance with the terms of reference. The EndSARS protest has continued to raise various human rights violation matters across the country. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
In another development, the ECOWAS Commission has equally noted the NSAS protests that have turned violent and expresses its condolences to the families and friends of those who have lost their lives during the protest and wishes the injured a speedy recovery. ECOWAS says it recognizes the right of citizens to freedom of expression and peaceful assembly and protest, but also stresses that those rights should be exercised in a non-violent manner. It calls on all protesters to remain peaceful in the conduct of their demonstrations and commends the federal government for the disbandment of SARS, comprehensive police reforms and investigation of cases of police brutality. And the Northern Broadcast Media Owners Association has noted with great concern events that are unfolding in Nigeria, particularly the NSAS protest, which started peacefully but later escalated to full-fledged arson and looting that resulted in loss of lives of people, maiming and destructions of property, including attacks on some media houses. In a statement by its chairman, Ahmed Tijani Ramalan, the association expresses worry over the connotations of the crisis and unguarded utterances by both citizens, political actors, eminent personalities on the desirability of protest and demands for reforms of the Nigerian police and mode of governance. NBMOA reiterates its resolve not to avail its platform to few questionable elements with ulterior motives to undermine the unity of this nation under any guise. The body urges all media practitioners to set aside all biased comments, editorials and reportage that would further threaten our hard-earned independence from colonial rule and democracy. Multiple births always attract attention. Twins, triplets, quadruplets and quintuplets tend to get so much attention for obvious reasons. Now, how about septuplets? Wow, 7 babies at a go. Well, if you think this is not feasible, visit the family of Abba Emmanuel, whose wife has done it at the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital. Hakimat Ali was there and see what she has.
10 years after birth of her last child, Mrs. Amaka Emmanuel, on the 7th of October 2020, delivered the 7 babies through a cesarean section at the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, Gwagwalada.
When I had my scanning, it was showing the place before it was showing 5 babies. So when I came here, they did another scanning. They were telling me it's 4. God have taken over everything. Even the time of delivering, God showed that He is God, and He's God. God is great.
Thank God in everything. Children are a gift from God. And you can see that there is not only one person that owns a child, that everybody is rejoicing.
The delivery of the septuplets, Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Professor Bisala Ekali, says it is the first of its kind in the facility and possibly in the country, and they will ensure all necessary care is given to them.
We anticipated some problems will arise, and therefore the neonatologists and pediatricians and nurses are on their toes trying to ensure that complications that normally arise from such high birth, early delivery are minimized.
Speaking on the implication of such birth, Dr. Enyade Kudirat Olateju disclosed that the biggest amongst the babies at birth weighed 1.35 kilogram and the smallest 0.85 kilogram, equivalent to 850 grams. They were 4 boys and 3 girls, with one of the boys brought out dead at delivery, and the later lost another to complications.
There's need for such woman, any woman that is carrying such multiple gestations, they need to be managed at the birth center with all specialists that have been needed to take care of the mother as well as the babies.
Now left with 5 babies, Mr. and Mrs. Emmanuel might, however, be needing moral and financial support. They will remain in the hospital for 8 weeks or more until they are certified fit to be discharged.
An amazing one there, Hakimat. You know, if the Almighty blesses you, you will grow to a ripe old age. Are you preparing for that period? Now, there are those who have gotten there unprepared, but thank goodness there are those who care, such as a non-governmental organization, Dave Omokaru Foundation, which champions the cause of the aged in Nigeria. The good news is it has signed an agreement with International Institute on Aging, United Nations Malta, to establish a sub-Saharan satellite center to cater for the needs of the older persons in Nigeria and the African region. Kenneth Nani has the report.
Dave Omokaru Foundation is a non-governmental organization taking lead in providing support services to the older persons in the country, leveraging on opportunities of partnership with the International Institute on Aging, United Nations Malta. These counterparts signing to set up an International Institute on Aging Satellite Center for Sub-Saharan Africa in Nigeria is a dream come true for the foundation, but this time with a wider range of responsibilities, including promotion of more advocacy within the region in the field of aging.
Capacity building opportunities expanded for Sub-Saharan Africa. We are going to train across Africa. We have more than 40 countries listed, and it means that Nigeria is going to be able to see an influx of other people from, because in-year class is a class that you share experiences.
Some partners of the foundation are also confident that the initiative will pave a leeway for improvement in the welfare of older persons in the country.
We look at her or see her as a kind of an instrument, a tool that we can hold. We actually build the capital, the human capital workforce that is expected of us to do.
As friends of DOF, but more importantly, as the registrar of DOF, right, this is heartwarming and exciting development.
I tell people I'm only 17. That is because age is in your mind.
A short documentary was also showcased thereafter to drive home messages on e-support services to the aged. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
From the National Orientation Agency.
Welcome back. As floodwaters continue to ravage states close to the river Niger, there is a sense of haste by farmers to rescue products from total destruction for the people of Ahwada in Rivers State who depend on cassava production. It is either premature harvest or, like they say, on your own or your. Onengefine Face in Yenagua tells us more.
It's a good time of the day to begin processing cassava to byproducts like cassava flakes, what we call popularly as gari, and of course other products. But for people in Okobe community in Aoda West local government area of Rivers State, this is a bad time in the year to harvest their cassava.
If not normal, we figure like 15 bags, 20 bags for one farm. But at the stance now, because of the flood now, we'll get like 7.
Okobe is in a hurry to rescue cassava from the jaws of the water. But so too is the water in a hurry to take over the land.
Where they do not aim that the flood will reach, the flood has taken all their crops. My people are suffering.
Schools located upstream now serve as camps for displaced persons.
Parents, listen to your children. We are the leaders of tomorrow. Try and pay our school fees and give us the sound education.
I joined in the nostalgic moments of these children. They tell me that they want to go back to school.
Our school is full of water, no road we can pass. There is no teachers, there is no coppers. All the teachers and coppers have gone back to the village.
These children too are in a hurry to leave the camp, but the situation is far worse for infants among them.
Must struggle, but I don't know.
From the mosquito bites, the children, they are affected by malaria and other typhoid.
Akinima, Joinkrama, Okaki, and several other communities on the coast of the river in Aoda West are also underwater.
3 good years, I spent my money and everything. After getting hope, the flood will come and will consume all.
The water is still surging. The people here fear that they may lose their only high ground to the flood in a few days. From Awoda West, River State, Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
The next story is a good example of man's inhumanity to man. As government and other organizations are working hard to provide relief for those hit by disasters, others are lining up to defraud the beneficiaries of such relief. In Niger State, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has paraded 4 suspects found in possession of 400 mattresses meant for distribution as palliative by the government. Commandant and Niger State Command of the NSCDC, Haruna Balazurmi, says investigation is ongoing to apprehend the prime suspect that sold the items. Musa Mikhail reports.
According to the commandant, Niger State Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Haruna Balazurmi, the 4 suspects were caught at different locations of the state in possession of 400 mattresses allegedly bought from another suspect now at large. They said mattresses are part of items meant to be given out to people as government palliative. The commandant says operatives of the Corps, through intelligent gathering and routine surveillance, were able to trail the movement of the trucks, which led to the arrest of the suspects. Balazurmi reassured the public of the command's readiness to investigate further to arrest the prime suspect.
Palliatives, they are expected to be distributed to victims of different degree of calamity.
One of the main dealers of the mattresses, who in turn sold it out to his business partner, says he was deceived by some persons that presented themselves as business clients.
We are dealers of such kind of mattresses. They came to us with a sample and asked whether we are interested in buying, and that was how we negotiated for a large number.
The 4 suspects, the command says, will be arraigned before a competent court of law as soon as investigation is concluded.
The federal government says the 30 billion naira academic earned allowances earlier agreed with the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU in the last negotiation is to include all the unions in the university sector, namely National Association of Academic Technologists, NAT, NASU and SASU, and all the unions are to work with the AGF, NUC and Ministry of Education to achieve that by the end of December 2020. This was contained in a communique reached at the end of the negotiation between government and the academic non-teaching staff. The meeting also resolved that non-payment of arrears of minimum wage from April 2019 to January 2020 is to be computed by the AGF office and forwarded to the Ministry of Education to process through the Ministry of Finance for payment. A timeline of 2 weeks was given on the delay in renegotiation of the Federal Government of Nigeria, NASU and SASU 2009 agreements. The negotiation committee is to be constituted on or before 31st of October 2020, and renegotiation is to be concluded on or before 31st of December 2020. The agreement is also to examine University General Peculiar Payroll Payment System, UGPPS, presented by NASU and SASU as their own payment platform developed, which they expect to address the needs of the university system. We are still in October, the month of our independence, and we are still sharing highlights of the memorable Independence Day celebration at the Eagle Square here in Abuja. Today, let us bring to you how the band added color to the parade. Defense correspondent Najat Tijani will show us.
No parade is complete without a band, which adds pomp and pageantry to any occasion besides the music. And when the occasion is as special as the Independence Day celebration, one can expect a stellar performance. However, unlike other occasions where the music is an invitation to dance and gyrate, one played by the band is significant and timed to ensure a successful parade. The band which performed at the Eagle Square parade had personnel of the Nigerian military consisting of the Nigerian Army, Navy and Air Force, as it was a national event. NTA News caught up with some members of the band.
This is the ceremonial for the Nigerian Army, and while I walk on, good morning sir, you can see you're with the Nigerian Navy. So also represented is the Nigerian Navy here in the band, and then we also have, this is the ceremonial for the Nigerian Air Force. So they make up the members of the band, and we also have the Nigerian Police Force. So right here you can see the ceremonial. And what's your name, sir?
My name is Mark Salau.
And what do you play? What instrument?
I play the trumpet.
But I just want to take you a little bit round so that you can get an idea of how large this band is. It's getting ready.
On this occasion, the band wowed the crowd with smart uniforms and musical skills, displaying the theme of the celebration, Together. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Really colorful. The Directorate of Defense Media Operations, ZMO, says the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole has destroyed an Islamic State of West Africa province training camp along with some of their logistics storage facilities at Tumbung Barorowa on the fringes of Lake Chad in Borno State. DMO Coordinator Major General John Enenche says the air interdiction mission was undertaken on October 19, 2020, sequel to a credible human intelligence report indicating that the settlement served as a venue for the training of ISWAP fighters. Following confirmatory aerial surveillance identifying some of the structures at the camp, the Air Task Force dispatched Nigerian Air Force fighter platforms to hit the target. Location scenes engulfed in flames with thick black smoke. Several ISWAP fighters who were observed firing at the attack aircraft were also neutralized in the process. I will now take sports by Badi Adele.